to share something with you. That might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from here, and this has been like a therapy session.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast at the Ben Davison Performance Centre here in Essex. I'm joined by Mr. Leigh Wood. How are you, mate?
Fantastic. Flying, mate. Just under 3 weeks. I'm ready, man.
Ready?
I'm ready. Still got time, a little bit of sharpen up, some bits and bobs to do. A few more spars, but I feel ready already and can't wait.
So, we know this fight was meant to have happened a little while ago. It wasn't to be. Everything happens for a reason. Quote George Groves back in 20, whenever that was. But yeah, the fight is on for the 18th now. So, yeah, this is anyone coming to watch it or watching it on the zone. This is the kind of fights that we want to see.
They're the kind of fights that I want to be involved in. They're the wins that I want to get. And I want people to look back and say, you know what, he didn't avoid anyone. He boxed everyone. And hopefully all being well, beat him as well.
Let's give a little bit of context about Lara, because it's safe to say that before that first fight with Josh Warrington, was fighting Warrington as a little bit of an unknown quantity, apart from insiders that had kind of seen him and know what he was capable of. Obviously, he did what he did to Warrington. The rematch obviously panned out the way that panned out, but he's kind of forced himself into being kind of a player in the division. So we know how dangerous he is, but we also know that you like to take dangerous fights.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much away, as every fighter says, but honestly I don't. He's a good fighter, he's a dangerous fighter, he's going to be hard to beat. So give me some credit when I beat him, please.
You said this after KUGAN. You said this prior to KUGAN, prior to Michael Conlan. Do you feel like you're still not getting credit? Because surely now people kind of know what you're about.
I don't do it for a pat on the back. But I think with the KUGAN fight, it was more of a case of he wasn't as good as before he was.
Was that the case?
I thought so. Do you know why?
It's interesting you say that, because it's very easy for the public or fan opinion to say that after, not just that fight, but a lot of fights go, oh, you weren't that good anyway. But come on, like, you weren't given a shot in that fight. I remember I was there, and I remember like people thinking like Leigh's going in there because he's game. But
it's one reason why, because there was no comparison. He didn't fight any UK fighter, so the Joe public didn't have someone to compare him against. So when I got the win, it was like, oh, he wasn't as good as everyone thought. But if he'd have fought his fight, he would have been as good as everyone thought. If I'd have done what other people had done in the past, It's the same with this fight. That's why I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to say he's big, bad, dangerous, devastating puncher, and I'm up against it. But if I pull this off, give me some respect.
Well, look, you're talking about comparisons, and I get that with KUGAN, obviously, in the reference that you're talking about. But with Lara, we have a very, very direct and very close to home comparison in Josh Warrington. So, yeah, regardless of whatever people say, you need your credit before this fight anyway.
Nah, I don't want no credit for taking the fight. That's silly. All fighters should be in fights. And I mean, when I say fights, all fighters should be in proper fights. Picking and choosing who you're fighting, one-sided fights, it's what's driven in boxing. There should be more input from the public who fighters get to fight. And if there was in a league and they decide who each other fights, then you'll find out who the proper fighters are, who the proper boxers are, and who's the proper number one. When it's down to money, politics, promoters, looking after fighters, it's ruining boxing. I'm not saying that I'm leading the way, but there should be more of these fighters picking these fights where people are writing them off. And it makes you a better fighter, win or lose. It's coming through, you get thrown in, you either win or you learn. And that's it, that's how boxing should be.
I think what you're talking about does come indirectly through kind of now social media, kind of that push, and promoters see numbers and like fan opinion. So I think it does contribute in a certain way. I understand the way you're explaining it, but I think indirectly that kind of presence from the public and fans, not just your fans but boxing fans, has some impacts on who you're in the ring with.
Yeah, for sure. And I think like if the public would subscribe, if everyone was in one big bubble and the fans would subscribe to watch the individual fights and they could pick who each other fights, the numbers generated would be a lot bigger than say there's two people that are avoiding each other and eventually the fight when they past it, because every fight will every one in the public would be generating that money and everyone would be picking them fights. But it's never going to happen because there's too many independent platforms, there's too many promoters. But it's down to the fighters to say, wait a minute, I don't want that fight. That's not going to do nothing for me. And test yourself, because what I realise is I've probably got 2-3 years left, max. And I don't want to look back and go, I had my last 3 or 4 fights and I didn't really need that fight. I won that fight easy. I want to look back and go, look, I tested myself there again and again and again. And being well, touch wood, I came through them tests and made a little bit of history.
Difficult question for you to answer, I'm sure, but because of the magnitude of the fight on the 18th. But have you discussed a plan post Maurizio Lara yet with your team, Eddie Hearn, etc.?
Yeah, we've had the conversations, but I'm not looking past Maurizio Lara. That'd be daft. I always say it. You start thinking about what's happening next, and you slip up, and then all that just disappears. And point of the conversation, waste of energy. So we'll have the proper conversations after this fight. But I'm confident in winning, and there's only one thing really that I want to do next, which is a must do, which I should have done after my last fight, but it's not worked out, and that's the first person to headline at the City Ground. That's my dream. That's my dream. That's my single left one thing I would love to do, and my last box to tick. After that, unifications, whatever, I'll fight anyone you know me anyway. I want to test myself, but that's pretty much a must after this fight.
Where was Lara in the options for you for this time round? We know obviously the fight was supposed to have happened before, but for this time round, for February the 18th, was he one of a few options that you had, or was it always going to be Lara?
There was never even a conversation. There was never even a debate, what should we do next? There was never that question asked. It was me asking Eddie when this is getting rescheduled. That was all it was. Imagine, which is funny because when I first spoke to Eddie back last year, when Warrington had that mandatory against Lopez, I could have picked anyone. I was sat in his office and he reeled a few names off, and Lara's name was never mentioned. We mentioned Lara, and again, my head's still in the same place as it was last year, and I believe that I'm going to not only beat Maurizio Lara, but this is going to be one of my best performances to date.
Okay, listen, we know you're very much focused, nothing else matters, but it is the job of idiots like me to kind of just throw little curveballs in there. But does Warrington, after that surprise defeat to Lopez, is that still something that you would entertain?
Yeah, I mean, I've got options. I don't want to speak too soon, but I'm confident getting the win against Lara, and doing so will give me options. As I said, that City Ground fight is next for me. That's what I want. Whoever's in the other corner, I'm not really fussed whether that's Warrington. If Conlan can go win a world title, I'm not sure if he's fighting for a world title. Yeah, you've seen a lot of rumours, but if he does and he comes through that, I'd welcome that fight at the City Ground. A chance for him to get revenge, a chance for me to pick up another world title. It's double bubble. So there's Warrington, which will be a sellout because of the rivalry, football rivalry. There's the Conlan rematch. There's probably Lopez as well. So I've got a lot of options. But first and foremost, Lara on 18th of Feb.
Absolutely. When you ask most people's opinion about the fight of 2022, 2 fights commonly come up, more so your one with Conlan, but also Taylor and Serrano as well. So you're in good company, but either or, that's one of the, I've asked loads of people, we've asked people in boxing what their fights were, or main fight was of 2022, and yeah, that must give you some sort of comfort that you not only participated in that, but you come out on top in that.
Yeah, it's obviously nice to get them the recognition, and it was obviously better to get the win on the night. You know, a lot of people look at this fight and they say I ain't got a chance, and I've heard it after the last fight, and I heard it before the Zukan fight, and you know, but now surely people sit back and look and go, well, he beat someone that throws a lot of punches, had the record of throwing the most punches. He's beat someone that was miles skillfully better than me. One of the best Irish fighters ever, you could say. You know, world gold medalist in amateurs, two-time Olympian. And not only that, you know, he's been put down and got up and won. I don't know what else I've got to prove to show people, you know. But here we go again, February 18th. This time I'm going to beat a big puncher, danger man. And, you know, there's not a lot left more to prove after this. And I'm extremely confident in what I've got to do. Extremely confident in going out and doing it. Got a great team down here, as you've seen. And as I keep saying, I will keep banging on about them fight after fight after fight. I won't be here without them, the way they operate in that. Not promoting it too much because I don't want a busy gym. We're getting a lot of time at the minute. I don't want loads of fighters to be on. But if they knew...
It's already earned that.
If they knew what they do down here and the way I got these wins, soon clear court, it's right in front of you. We could show you. So yeah, I don't want to pipe on about it too much because I like the time I get and I like the environment. I don't want to be overcrowded with fighters, but yeah, massive credit to them, and honestly I can't wait for February 18th to go out and do what I do again.
The final thing I will say, I think people have learnt, especially boxing fans, you've become one of these fighters that it's very, very risky to back against you, and I think you're getting that now. I see it. You might not see it, but I see it. I see you in whatever fight you're in, people have kind of learnt not to kind of put their money, so to speak, against you. So there's a compliment there somewhere.
Yeah, and a lot of my friends always go on holiday after a fight, and I think why? You know, it all makes sense now. The odds are normally stacked against me. I think the Zukan fight was 5 or 6 to 1 or something just for the win. 70 to 1 for that short round knockout. The Conlan fight, the knockout was daft. And I don't look at the odds, but I've heard these ones are wide as well. So you know, they'll probably be booking them seats for that fight very soon. But yeah, it's boxing. You know, anything can happen. But I work extremely hard and I work extremely smart.
Well, just under 3 weeks to go in Nottingham, live in the zone, Feb 18th. It's going to be a great week, and yeah, this is a very intriguing and fascinating fight for the fans and, like I said, for yourself. So wish you the best of luck. Have you got anything else you want to add, Leigh?
Yeah, just a massive thank you to everyone that's brought a ticket, you know, and a lot of my locals in Nottingham have brought a ticket. There's a few hundred left out of 9,000, which is incredible. It's going to be one noisy atmosphere. I can't wait to walk out to it. And there's a lot of people from other areas. My tickets have been sent up and down the country, so it's not just my Nottingham lot I want to thank. It's everyone that's brought a ticket from all over, wherever you come from. Massive thank you for supporting me. It's going to be one hell of a night again, you know, and I can't wait to get in there. It's been coming up to a year since I last walked out there, a year in March, so hopefully we'll have a busier year. Thanks everyone supporting me. Let's do this.
Leigh Wood, thank you very much for talking to IFL TV. We'll see you in Nottingham. Best of luck with the rest of your camp, and yeah, we'll see you there.
See you there, mate.
I'm going to share something with you that might put me in a very negative light, yeah.
Relationships are not my forte.
See if someone grabbed up my wife or something completely different ballgame.
I'll walk away from it, and this has been like a therapy session.